Her date walked out when he saw her daughter, so I pulled up a chair and asked, "Room for two?" What I did not know then was that 6 hours later, my phone would light up in the dark cab of my pickup with a voice message never meant for me. Emily's voice would come through small and tired, saying my name like a secret she had carried too long. And by the time I heard the words, I would already know I had been sitting in the wrong seat for years. Earlier that evening, I was closing the parts shop on Maple Street, wiping brake dust off the counter while the rain tapped the front windows like impatient fingers. O'Malley Auto Parts wasn't much to look at. 3 aisles of filters, belts, batteries, and the smell of rubber that never left your clothes. My father had built the place with a bad back and stubborn hands, and after he died, I kept it running because some men inherit businesses and some men inherit silence. Every Friday, after I locked the register, I walked 6 blocks to the public library. I told myself it was because the old building's front light flickered and Emily never had time to fix it. That was only partly true. Emily Carter worked the children's desk with a pencil tucked behind her ear and a cardigan always slipping off one shoulder. She knew which kids needed dinosaur books, which older men came in just to read the paper somewhere warm, and which mothers counted fines and quarters from the bottom of their purse. She was not soft in the weak way people use that word. She was soft like a lamp in a window, steady, chosen, needed. Her daughter Lily was 9, sharp-eyed, and too good at noticing things adults tried to hide. On Fridays, she sat cross-legged by the comic shelf while I tightened loose table legs, changed bulbs, or carried donation boxes to the storage room. Emily always pretended she did not expect me. Still, there was always a black coffee in a paper cup on the return desk. "No sugar. No lead. You're late," she would say. "You're welcome," I would answer. That was our ritual. 3 years of it. Maybe more. Long enough that the teen volunteers stopped asking if I worked there. Long enough that Lily once drew 3 stick figures under a library roof and labeled them Mom, me, and Owen, then shoved the paper into my jacket pocket like evidence. Emily saw it and laughed too quickly. "She labels everyone," she said. "Sure," I said, and folded it carefully anyway. That night was different because Emily had a date. Greg, accountant, clean shirt, good teeth, the kind of man people call stable when they mean harmless. Emily told me about it while sorting picture books into a blue cart, trying to sound casual. "It's just dinner." "Good," I said too fast. "You deserve good." Her hands paused on a copy of The Velveteen Rabbit. "So do you, Owen." I looked away first. By 8:30, I was delivering a starter motor to the diner on Ashland when I saw her through the window. Emily in a navy dress. Lily beside her, swinging her feet under the table. Across from them, Greg looked at his watch, then at the little girl, then at the door. He stood with a polite smile, said something short, and left enough cash to prove he was not cruel. Just gone. Emily's face stayed calm. Lily's did not. I was inside before I understood I had moved. The empty chair sat there like a question. I pulled it back, sat down, and looked at Lily first. "Room for two." Emily opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Lily nodded once, serious as a judge. So I stayed. I ordered pancakes I did not want, listened to Lily explain a book about planets, and watched Emily slowly stop apologizing for taking up space. Later, walking them back toward the library parking lot, I carried Lily's leftovers in one hand and Emily's umbrella in the other, like I had done it 100 times. Maybe I had. At the library door, Emily touched the cold metal handle, smiled without looking at me, and said, "Thanks for saving the night." But I drove home wondering if the thing I kept looking for across dinner tables had been waiting under fluorescent library lights all along. The rain had softened to a mist by the time I parked outside my duplex, but I sat behind the wheel with the engine off and Lily's leftover pancakes cooling in a foam box on the passenger seat. My phone was still mounted to the dash, the screen glowing with the last call I had made from the diner parking lot. Emily had asked me to text when I got home. I had pressed the little microphone icon instead, recorded, "Made it back. Lock your doors," and thought I hit send. What I actually did was leave the message thread open, thumb resting too long on the voice note button while the phone sat there awake, connected, listening. I heard rustling first, keys on a counter, Lily's sneakers squeaking across kitchen tile, Emily's tired laugh, the one she used when she wanted a child to feel safe before she let herself fall apart. I should have closed it then. The second I understood I was hearing her apartment and not my own silence, I should have tapped the red stop button, turned the screen face down, given her the privacy she had trusted the world to protect. Instead, my hand froze on the steering wheel, knuckles pale under the blue dash light. "Mom," Lily said, small but firm. He didn't save the night. He stayed. There was a pause. A cabinet opened. A glass touched the sink. "Baby, Owen is kind. That's what kind people do." "No," Lily said. "Mr. Jacobs is kind. He brings donuts to the library." Owen looks at you like he's waiting for you to finish a sentence. My throat tightened. Outside, a car passed slow through the puddles, headlights sliding across my windshield and over my hands like I had been caught. Emily made a sound, half laugh, half warning. "Lily, you always say my name like that when I'm right." Silence. Then Emily sighed, and in that sigh I heard the whole evening, Greg's polite retreat, the empty chair, the way she had folded Lily's napkin 3 times because her fingers needed something to do. "It doesn't matter," Emily said. "It matters to me." Lily's voice dropped. Protective. Not pushing. Guarding. "When that man left, you looked like you were trying to disappear. Then Owen sat down and you came back." I swallowed hard. My thumb slipped against the phone mount. The screen brightened. A tiny red line kept moving, still recording. Still wrong. "He has his own life," Emily whispered. "He deserves someone simple." Lily answered immediately. "We're not hard to love." Something inside my chest broke cleanly, without noise. Emily did not answer for a long moment. When she finally spoke, the words were so quiet I leaned closer before I could stop myself. "That's what scares me." A chair scraped on her kitchen floor. "Because he already feels like home, Lily. And homes can leave too." My hand jerked. The phone slipped from the mount and hit the gear shift with a sharp plastic crack. On the other end, everything went still. No faucet. No cabinets. No Lily. The moving red line stopped. Then my screen flashed bright, switching from recording to live audio. My own breath suddenly loud between us. "Owen," Emily said, not angry yet. Worse, terrified. I stared at her name glowing in my truck, knowing I had crossed a line I could not uncross. My mouth went dry. I picked up the phone with both hands and forced myself to answer before cowardice could dress itself up as mercy. "Emily," I said, my voice rough. "I'm here." Her name stayed lit on my phone like an accusation. I could see my reflection in the black glass around the call window. A 40-year-old man sitting alone in a truck full of old receipts, work gloves, and the smell of engine oil, pretending he had not just heard the one thing he had no right to hear. "I'm sorry," I said first. Not because it fixed anything, because it was the only honest place to start. I should have ended the recording the second I realized it wasn't meant for me. Emily did not answer. On the other end, I heard Lily whisper, "Mom," and then the soft scrape of a chair. A lamp clicked on somewhere in their apartment. The screen shifted from Emily's name to video by accident, or maybe by a shaking thumb. Suddenly I saw her kitchen in pieces. A mug half full of tea, Lily's purple jacket hanging off the back of a chair, Emily standing beside the counter with one hand pressed flat over her stomach like she could hold herself together by force. "You heard all of it?" she asked. "Enough," I said. "Too much." Her mouth tightened. "That's not an answer." Lily stepped into the corner of the frame, hair loose from her braid, eyes sharp with the kind of loyalty most adults only pretend to have. "Don't say something big just because Mom cried," she told me. "If you don't know, then don't say it." The words landed harder than any insult could have. I looked down at my hand. My thumb hovered over the red end button, but I did not press it. Ending the call would have been easier. Staying accountable was not. "She's right," I said. "I don't get to turn one private sentence into a promise." Emily's eyes flicked toward me then away. Then what are you doing, Owen? I looked at the foam box on the seat beside me. The pancakes Lily had not finished. I thought of every Friday coffee waiting on the return desk. Black, no sugar, no lid because Emily said lids made coffee taste like plastic. I thought of the night my father died and I called her before I called my own cousin, because she knew how to sit in silence without trying to decorate it. I thought of Denise, the woman I took to dinner last spring, and how I spent half the meal wondering whether Emily had remembered to eat during inventory week. I thought of every date where I compared a stranger's laugh to the quiet sound Emily made when Lily mispronounced a planet. I'm trying to understand why I kept looking for peace in rooms where you weren't, I said. Emily shut her eyes, but not softly, like the words hurt because they sounded good. That sounds like shock. Maybe. Or guilt. Maybe that too. Or you're afraid this will ruin our friendship. So now you're reaching for the nearest beautiful explanation. I had no defense ready, which told me she had asked the right question. I don't want to answer you badly, I said. Then don't answer me tonight. Her hand moved to the laptop on the counter. The cursor sat frozen over the call icon. Some things can't be cleaned up through a screen. Lily slipped her fingers into Emily's hand. Emily looked at me one last time, scared and steady at once. Give me time, Owen. Then the screen went dark. I made it as far as the library parking lot before I understood that showing up at her apartment would turn my guilt into pressure. So I went where we had always met when life got too full to carry home. The public library sat dark except for the security light above the book drop, its brick walls shining. From rain, I parked under the sycamore tree, texted one sentence, and put the phone face down on the passenger seat. I'm outside the library. I won't come closer unless you ask me to. For 27 minutes, nothing happened. A raccoon crossed the sidewalk. The old front light buzzed above the entrance, the one I kept meaning to replace again. Then the side door opened. Emily stepped out in jeans, sneakers, and the gray cardigan she wore when she had stopped pretending the day was fine. She locked the door behind her, saw me standing beside my truck, and stayed under the awning. She had chosen the distance. I respected it. Lily's with Mrs. Alvarez upstairs, she said. I only came because this place has cameras. I nodded. Good. That made something in her face loosen. Just a little. I kept my hands where she could see them, resting on the damp hood of my truck. I'm not here to be forgiven tonight. Then why are you here? Because screens let cowards sound braver than they are. The wind moved the wet leaves along the curb. Emily folded her arms, not cold, protected. If the voice note never happened, she said, would you ever have said anything? There it was. The question that did not leave room for a prettier man to answer. I looked through the glass doors at the children's section, where the tiny chairs were stacked upside down on the tables. Maybe not, I said. Her eyes dropped. Emily. My voice nearly broke on her name. That is not because tonight created something. It's because I was hiding behind something safe. Just friends, she said. Just friends, I repeated. Friday repairs. Coffee on the desk. Lily's drawings in my glove box. Me canceling dates and calling it being tired. You texting me when the library heater went out because you knew I'd come. Me showing up because I wanted to be the person you called. She looked at me then. Really looked. Wanting to be needed isn't the same as love. No, I said. It isn't. I reached into my jacket slowly and pulled out the folded drawing Lily had made a year ago. The one with 3 stick figures under a crooked library roof. The paper had softened at the creases. I kept this before I had language for why. Emily stared at it like it was more dangerous than a confession. I am not a consolation prize because your dates didn't work. You're not. I am not the easier thing because I was already close. You were never easy, I said. You were real. I think I kept choosing unreal things because they couldn't ask anything true from me. Her breath shook once, and she hated that I noticed. If we cross this line, you don't get to call it confusion tomorrow. I won't. You don't hide me at the parts shop. Never. And you don't make promises to Lily until you understand what they cost. That one hit deepest. I understand enough to start slow. She stepped out from under the awning. Not all the way to me, just into the rain. Say it again, she whispered. Without the screen. I placed the drawing on the truck hood between us like evidence. Not proof enough, but proof that I was done pretending. You feel like home, Emily. And I should have told you before I overheard you saying it first. She looked at my hand for a long time before placing hers in it. For the first 2 weeks, we treated the new thing between us like a glass jar carried with both hands. Nothing rushed. Nothing announced itself with fireworks. Emily decided that. Slow, she said one Saturday morning while Lily was at art club and the library's back office smelled like dust, printer ink, and the orange she had peeled for lunch. Not secret, just slow. So I learned the difference. Secret meant hiding. Slow meant respecting the weight of what we were changing. I started showing up in daylight, not just when something broke. On Tuesdays, I brought lunch to the library and sat in the staff room while Emily ate half a sandwich over a stack of grant applications for the children's reading program she wanted to expand. I listened while she explained budget lines, outreach numbers, and how the city council never understood that kids needed more than shelves of books. She was not waiting around to be loved. She was building something. I liked watching her build it. At my shop, she came by after closing with Lily's homework folder under one arm and a tote bag full of returns under the other. She sat on the stool behind the counter, reading while I checked inventory. Lily spun slowly in my desk chair until Emily said, without looking up, 2 more spins, then feet on the floor. Lily obeyed. I noticed that, the gentle authority, the ordinary miracle of being trusted enough to be corrected. Small objects began crossing borders. Emily's navy jacket stayed on the passenger seat of my truck for 3 days before I realized I did not want to give it back yet. My work hoodie ended up on the chair by her kitchen table, smelling like motor oil and rain. A chipped blue mug appeared at my sink after she stopped by before an early library meeting. Her laptop rested open on my coffee table one evening, the cursor blinking beside a proposal title while she fell asleep sitting up, glasses crooked, one sock half off. I did not move her. I only saved the document, covered her with a blanket, and turned down the TV. One night, she opened the narrow drawer beside her stove and took out 3 old takeout menus, a dead pen, and a roll of tape. You can keep your coffee here, she said, not looking at me. Just coffee? I asked. Don't get brave, she said, but the corner of her mouth gave her away. I put a small bag of dark roast in the drawer like it was a passport. A week later, she handed me a spare key on a faded library keychain shaped like an open book. For emergencies, she said. And planned dinners, Lily added from the hallway. Emily sighed. For emergencies and planned dinners. The warmth of that moment stayed with me all night. But love did not make us magically fluent. I still forgot to tell her when a supplier changed my schedule. She still said, I'm fine, when her shoulders were tight enough to snap. And on the fridge, beneath Lily's spelling test and Emily's council meeting notice, I saw a parent-teacher conference circled in red. I meant to write it down. I really did. Then my phone rang from the shop, and I told myself I would remember. The parent-teacher conference was at 6 on a Thursday, and I remembered at 6:47, standing under the buzzing lights of aisle 3, with a fuel pump in one hand and my phone in the other. Emily had not called. That was the part that scared me. By the time I reached the school, the hallway smelled like floor wax and dry erase markers, and the classroom door was already locked. I found Emily in the parking lot with Lily's backpack over one shoulder and her laptop bag cutting into the other. Lily climbed into the back seat without a word. Emily held the spare key I had given back to her that morning, flat on her palm, like a small metal verdict. I'm sorry, I said. A supplier came in late, and I lost track of... I know, she said. Not sharp. Worse. Tired. At her apartment, dinner sat cold on the stove, chicken and rice under a sheet of foil. My hoodie was still on the chair. My coffee sat in the drawer. My boots were by the door. And suddenly every object that had felt like belonging looked like evidence that I had entered a life I did not yet know how to carry. Lily went to her room, closing the door softly. Emily set her laptop on the table and opened it. Not because she had work to do, but because she needed something between us. I called the school, I said. They can reschedule. Her eyes lifted. You called them? I thought I was helping. You thought you could fix the consequence before we talked about the hurt. The sentence landed clean. I had no place to hide inside it. I leaned against the counter, hands still smelling faintly of gasoline no matter how hard I washed them. I didn't want you to have one more thing to handle. Emily closed the laptop harder than she meant to. The sound made Lily's bedroom go silent. Owen, my life was full before you sat down at that diner. Full does not mean broken. I don't need someone quietly taking over the hard parts because he loves me. My first instinct was to defend myself, to say I was not taking over, to say I was trying. But I saw the red-circled conference notice still hanging on the fridge, half covered now by a receipt from my shop. I saw the drawer she had cleared for me and the half-empty closet shelf she had offered after pretending it was no big deal. I saw how much space she had made and how little I had. Asked before stepping into it. You're right, I said. I was acting like being useful was the same as being present. Her face softened, but only at the edges. And I was acting like if I needed you, I'd lose myself. We stood there with the cold dinner between us. No music, no easy kiss. Just two adults in a small kitchen, learning that love did not excuse bad habits. Emily pulled a dry erase calendar from the side of the fridge and dropped it on the table. Schedules go here. If something changes, we say it before someone gets disappointed. I nodded. And if I want to help, I ask first. And if I say I need quiet, I tell you whether quiet means 10 minutes or the whole night. I picked up the marker. My handwriting looked clumsy beside hers. Still, I wrote, ask before fixing. She took the marker and added, don't disappear to stay strong. For the first time that night, she reached for my hand. Not to end the fight, to stay inside it. Then her laptop chimed. An email banner slid across the dark screen. Portland County Library System. Final interview invitation. Emily did not open the email right away. She stared at the banner until it faded, then touched the laptop lid like it might burn her. Portland, she said, and the room changed shape around that one word. 2 nights later, I sat at her kitchen table while she spread the printed job packet between us. Final interview schedule, relocation stipend, children's literacy initiative, apartment listings near a school with a strong arts program for Lily. There was even a glossy photo of a bright reading room with low shelves and yellow chairs. Emily's thumb rested on that picture longer than anywhere else. This is the job, she said. Not a job. The job. The one she had been building toward while I was learning how to be honest about calendars and hurt feelings. Director of Children's Programs. Full budget authority. Community outreach. Her name on the proposal she had written during lunch breaks and late nights with cold tea beside her keyboard. Lily sat on the floor with markers, pretending not to listen while drawing a map from our town to Oregon with a crooked green line. They want me there next month for the interview, Emily said. If they offer it, they'd need me by fall. I nodded like a man taking in useful information, but inside, something small and selfish grabbed the doorframe. My shop was here. My father's name was still painted on the front window. Faded gold letters he had never let me touch up because old paint tells people you survived. I had 2 employees who depended on me, a lease with 4 years left, and shelves of parts organized in a system only I understood. Leaving was not impossible, but it was not simple. Staying for Emily suddenly looked like shrinking. Her sister Rachel called on speaker the next afternoon while Emily sorted documents into a manila folder. Rachel was not cruel. She was practical in the way older sisters become when they have seen bills, fevers, and empty refrigerators. Opportunities like this do not circle back forever, she said. You love him, fine. But don't teach Lily that women turn down their names on office doors because a good man finally noticed them. Emily's eyes flicked to me. I looked down at the counter because the sentence hurt and deserved to. Later, we drove to the school so she could ask about Lily finishing the year if they moved midterm. She brought a notebook, 3 pens, and the calm voice she used when fear tried to rush her. She asked real questions. Credits, records, art program transfers, housing timelines. She was not running away from me. She was walking toward herself. That was harder to resent. On the ride home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat clutching the Portland brochure. Emily watched the streetlights slide over her daughter's face. "I won't give this up just to prove I love you," she said quietly. My hands tightened on the wheel. I wanted to say I knew. I wanted to be better than the ache in my chest. "I won't ask you to," I said. "But I'm scared." She turned toward me then, not angry. "So am I." The red light held us at an empty intersection. Between us sat the folder, the spare key, and the life we had just started learning how to share. For the first time, love looked like two doors and no hallway between them. She could leave and become who she had worked to be, or stay, and lose a part of herself I had no right to keep. Emily did not solve it that night. She slept badly, woke before the alarm, and cleared the kitchen table with the focus of a woman refusing to be cornered by her own life. By 7, the Portland packet, Lily's school calendar, my shop lease, a yellow legal pad, and the dry erase rules from the fridge were spread out in front of us. At the top of the pad, in Emily's neat block letters, she wrote, "Ask before fixing. Don't disappear to stay strong." Then beneath it, she added one more line, "No false choices." "I am not choosing between my work and you," she said. "And I am not teaching Lily that love means folding yourself smaller." I sat across from her with coffee cooling in my hands and said the sentence I had learned to say before reaching for tools. "What do you need me to understand before I help?" Her shoulders lowered a fraction. "Libraries run on systems," she said. "So do families. We stop acting like this is one giant emotional decision and break it into parts." She built the plan the way she built children's programs. Who needed care, what resources existed, what could move, what had to stay, what could be tested before becoming permanent. Lily would finish the school year here. Emily would ask Portland for a phased start. Remote planning in the summer, 2 weeks a month on-site until fall. Rachel could take Lily on the Portland scouting trip, not as a judge, but as emergency backup. I would not sell the shop in a panic. Instead, I would train Marcus, my best mechanic, to handle daily ordering, put our inventory system into actual software, and spend 3 days a month in Portland learning the market for a second location. Not because Emily needed a man with a wrench to follow her. Because I needed a life that could grow too. The hard part came on the call with Portland. Emily wore her blue cardigan, the one with frayed cuffs, and pinned her hair back like she was going into battle with a library card. "I want this position," she told the hiring director. "But I am a parent, and I am building a transition that lets my daughter finish the year well. If your program values children's stability, I need that value to include mine." I watched her say it without apology. The director did not agree right away. There were budget timelines, board expectations, another candidate who could relocate immediately. Emily took notes, asked for a pilot structure, offered a 90-day measurable plan. Outreach partners contacted, summer reading curriculum drafted, bilingual volunteer pipeline built from here before arrival. She did not beg. She negotiated. After the call, Rachel texted 3 words. "Proud of you." Marcus was less elegant when I told him about the shop plan. He stared at the parts catalog, then at me. "You mean I finally get to fix your filing system from 1998? Don't get emotional," I said. He grinned. Too late. That night, the 3 of us taped the 18-month calendar to Emily's fridge. Blue for Portland, red for school, green for shop training, purple, Lily insisted. For family dinners, no one was allowed to cancel without a real reason. Emily handed me the marker. "Name one thing you're responsible for." I wrote, "Marcus training, Thursdays, 6 p.m. She wrote, "Portland proposal, Sundays, 8 p.m. Lily drew 3 tiny chairs at the bottom of the calendar. For the first time, the future did not look like someone leaving or someone staying. It looked like work. It looked possible. Emily stood beside me, shoulder touching mine, and whispered, "So what do we call this?" I looked at the purple squares, the spare key, the life refusing to stay unnamed. 18 months later, the spare key no longer looked temporary. It hung beside mine on a wooden hook by the door of our apartment over the new auto shop in Portland, 2 brass keys and 1 library keychain shaped like an open book. Emily's navy jacket still lived on the chair by the kitchen table, but now it did not look forgotten. It looked claimed. Her desk faced the window, stacked with reading logs, grant folders, and postcards from kids who wrote crooked thank yous in crayon. Mine sat across the room with parts invoices, shop schedules, and Marcus's weekly reports from Maple Street. Between them, Lily's school calendar covered half the wall in purple, blue, red, and green. We still used the rules. As before fixing. Don't disappear to stay strong. No false choices. Some nights, Emily came home from the library with her hair falling loose and her voice hoarse from leading story hour for 40 children. Some mornings, I opened the shop before sunrise and found a paper cup waiting by the register, black coffee, no sugar, no lid. The difference was we stopped pretending these things were accidents. Portland did not make us perfect. It made us honest. When Emily needed quiet, she said, 20 minutes, not forever. When I was scared money was tight, I showed her the spreadsheet instead of turning fear into silence. Lily had her own key now, her own corner by the window, and a sign she painted herself for the community reading nook downstairs. Room for 2. The grand opening happened on a rainy Saturday, because apparently every important thing in our life needed rain on the pavement. Emily stood in front of the children's section with a microphone clipped to her cardigan, thanking donors, teachers, parents, and the kids who had made the place matter before the paint was dry. I stood near the back with grease under one fingernail I had missed and pride sitting heavy in my chest. Then Lily tugged my sleeve and held up my phone. We're recording a message for the Maple Street people, she whispered. Don't mess it up. The voice memo app was open. The red button waited. I looked at Emily across the room, and she saw the screen in my hand. For 1 second, both of us remembered another red line moving in the dark. Another message never meant for me. Another truth heard before it was ready. This time, I raised the phone so she could see it. Her eyes softened. She walked over, still wearing the microphone, still in front of everyone, and placed her hand over mine before I pressed record.
No accident.
No hiding. Ready? I asked. Emily smiled. Ready. I tapped the red button. Lily leaned in first. Hi, Maple Street. We miss you, but Portland has better donuts. Emily laughed, and the microphone caught it clearly. Then she looked at me, not embarrassed, not afraid of being heard. Your turn. I held the phone between us. I choose this, I said. The shop, the library, the hard calendars, the coffee, the kid who steals my chair. Lily gasped, offended. Emily's fingers tightened around mine. She leaned toward the phone and said, I choose you too, on purpose. Later, after the crowd left, I pulled out the first chair in the reading nook and waited. Emily sat beside me, Lily dropping between us like she belonged there, and under the small sign that said room for 2, we made room for 3, for work, for home, and for every tomorrow we had chosen out loud.